I set out across America with the goal to become the ultimate Jiu-Jitsu black belt. In doing so, I tested myself against 6 high-level gym leaders. In the last video, we took on some of the students here at Maximus Jiu-Jitsu, but now we are one roll away from coming face to face with the second gym leader of the trip. Before finally taking him on, we have one of our toughest challenges yet, a technical brown belt with relentless pressure. But before he removes the soul from my body, I obviously have to make a fool out of myself first. As Kevin and I get going, I neutralize the hand fight and allow my legs to do the work by pummeling into headquarters. Kevin opens his elbows, so I try to capitalize with a knee cut, but I'm stopped in my tracks as he frames on my hip and uses his knee to prevent me from cutting through. I'll attempt to move myself into a low position called Cloud Castle, but because I failed to control the frame on my hip, my weight gets compromised and I end up getting swept. We'll revisit this position in a few minutes, so hopefully I can find more success later in the round. But now, this is the part where my organs collapse as Kevin drives his weight into me. I'll give props to him because I've only ever felt this level of pressure against my former coach Gabriel Souza, an 80cc veteran. While Kevin continues to ruin my lunch, I'll let you guys in on a little giveaway that I'm hosting where you can win some awesome free jiu-jitsu gear. Stick around to the end of the video to learn more. Until then, Kevin is going to start driving in a lot of cross-face pressure, forcing me to look away and minimizing my ability to defend incoming attacks from that side. Then, after isolating my right arm, he steps over in a mount. There is a level of vulnerability I cannot describe about having your arm dangling in mount just waiting to get snapped. In order to try and relieve this anxiety, I decide to bridge forward, forcing Kevin to post and retracting my arm to the inside position. I continue to buck Kevin forward and off-balance him, but at a certain point he finds a new opening and uses my escape to funnel himself right into the most threatening position in Jiu-Jitsu, the back. In the last video, my hand fighting and back defense was fairly good. However, Kevin realizes this and decides to fight my hands with his feet, overpowering me and dragging his foot across my chest to lock me into a submission. I know if he's able to figure 4 his legs from here, it's game over. So I'm trying to keep his foot between my knees, but simultaneously, he's adding another obstacle by wrapping up my left arm into a Kimura, threatening 2 game-ending moves at once. The Kimura is getting deep, so I'm forced to defend it fast. While I do that, he inches his foot beneath his knee, solidifying the rear triangle, and with nowhere for me to run, he doubles down on the arm, finishing the submission via rear triangle armbar. Having only gotten highlighted on and submitted today, I'm determined to walk out here with at least a shred of dignity, so I decide to kick it up a notch. I force Kevin to his back and stuff his legs into headquarters. From here, I launch it on my signature pass, the blast cut. Not making the same mistake twice, I immediately drop ear to ear and secure his inside arm. With all the pieces of Cloud Castle set in stone, I'm free to exit the pass as I please. I kick off his legs and finish in side control. Kevin wastes no time enabling his frames and shrimping towards the side. Finding my own opening, I leap over his body and roll right onto his back. While I am in the most advantageous position, I'm still up against a brown belt, and with his added experience, he's going to throw everything he has at me to avoid getting tapped. One of the major difficulties that he's sending my way is not allowing me to sustain good head positioning, keeping his head directly in front of mine. He's also severely beating me in the hand fight, controlling both my wrists, preventing any choke threats. Eventually, he's able to get his shoulders to the mat, and at this point, I know the position is lost, so I try to counter with the arm triangle. Kevin negates this by dropping his elbow to the mat and staying in motion, making it very difficult to control the position. After quickly disrespecting the sport by doing whatever the fuck that was, we reset away from the wall so Kevin can keep highlighting me for all of YouTube to see. However, I might be able to pull something off in a second, so don't count me out just yet. We get things started and I only have one thought on my mind. I can't walk out of this gym without at least getting one submission. So let's hope I can find it within the next 2 minutes. I prevent the incoming leg entanglement by pinching my knees and closing the space needed to enter into any type of X guard. Kevin uses this to chain right into a double leg and topples me over. Luckily, on the way down, I snag an underhook, allowing me to rise back up a second faster. That unfortunately made no difference as I get caught trying to use my non-existent pressure passing, and Kevin starts climbing up through half guard. Knowing I'm running out of time, I set myself up for one last attack. I strip my leg from his half guard and jump onto a move I call the Sunsetter Triangle. Having finally found a submission, there is no way I'm letting this opportunity go to waste. I work to control the position by closing the gap between his neck and my legs and controlling his posture by pulling his head down, preventing him from looking up. I'll use the momentum of him standing up to easily slide and adjust my lock to cover his shoulder with my thigh, drastically increasing the choking pressure. The last piece needed is to underhook his leg, negating his ability to explode out, and after collecting all the infinity stones of the submission, I close out the match with a disgustingly tight triangle. And so, after surviving against 3 tough opponents, we finally meet the gym leader at Maximus Jiu-Jitsu. Boasting over 25 years of martial arts experience, David Heineman is our final challenge of the day. If you watched the last video, you'd know that this is the first round we decided to stand on our feet. So let's see if my wrestling has evolved at all after the last time at ZR. David and I grip up, but I duck my left hand and move quickly onto a super low single leg. Not the best technique, but it got the job done. I then tried to shoot in for a knee slice, but David's knee shield makes quick work of that and blocks it entirely. Playing super careful, I'm controlling his wrist and keeping weight on his hips. I'll pop up to my right leg to add more weight and prevent David from attacking forward. I'm not a fan of playing from top knee shield, so I try to move to headquarters, but rotating a black belt's hips like that is about as easy as driving with no limbs and blind, so I end up exposing my right leg to getting an underhook instead. David works to put me in a leg entanglement, but I feel this coming, so I turn out and free my knee to prevent any leg lock attacks. One thing that David is doing to make it incredibly hard for me to find a pass is keeping his hips engaged and elevated. He's staying propped up on his side, making it hard for me to pin a leg or redirect the knee shield in this way. Eventually, I get caught lacking and he hits me with an arm drag, chaining it right into a single leg wrestle up. While normally I'm ready to attack my specialty triangle on his way up, he backs out instead of pressuring in and he avoids the submission. Now David already knew most of my game because of social media, so I had to get an edge as well by asking a few of the guys what to expect.
The knee cut. I don't know why I didn't think about that. That's the first thing he's gonna go for.
Luckily, I had a direct counter in my arsenal to shut down that pass. I weave my arm behind David's knee and elevate him using shin to shin and put him in this single leg X. From here, I almost get the sweep, but he's able to keep his balance and stand right back up. I try to then reweave my leg into a modified single leg X, similarly to what I did in the last video. But David negates this by lowering his level and grabbing my head, greatly reducing my ability to elevate and solidifying his balance. However, he does some black belt level shit by controlling my inside leg and literally levitates himself over my guard. Now that he's defeated my legs, he just has to work to control my upper body. He does this by dropping his chest on my face and laces his leg over directly onto my hip. If you've noticed within the last 3 rolls, everyone seems to have a similar style of taking the back, and David continues the trend by chair sitting and putting in his hooks. Luckily, I'm able to catch his hand before he takes off my head. I'll then use the cheeky back ankle lock to steer him from removing the top hook. With some mediocre hand fighting and keeping my neck safe, I move my right arm into breaking off the bottom hook and attempt to scramble out of back control. David follows me, and this time as I turn away, he runs his leg across my chest into a dreaded body triangle. With the body triangle and gravity working against me, all I can really do here is cry internally or continue to expose myself even more. I notice that David is having a hard time trying to find openings being so high on my back, so I make it a priority to keep his forehead on the mat and prevent him from scooting back. After bucking him a few times, I drive into his tricep and work on my escape by rotating my hips away, but also pinning his shoulders to the mat. It's a little risky because David has a strong angle which could result in an easy armbar or triangle. To keep myself safe, I'm playing super tight and trying to connect my elbows to my torso as fast as possible. Having to weave through all of his submission attempts probably wasn't the best route, but I'm rewarded with another chance to pass his guard and maybe find a submission for myself. I start by walking to the left, trying to switch up my style a bit so I don't talk about headquarters for the 70th time in this gym. I blitz into an outside pass, but I chain it together by diving into a blast cut, nearly passing David's guard. As I circle around, he switches his hips and comes up using the same technique as he did earlier, once again avoiding my sunsetter triangle. David will use his left knee to pin my leg and then uses a leg drag to force me to turtle and gives the audience free exclusive content. With the goal in mind, David high legs over to mount, and if I don't move quickly, things could get bad fast. Unfortunately for me, a bald head and tattoos gives him a +10 weight advantage from mount, so in short, I'm screwed. He doesn't waste his power up as he propels himself to high mount and begins to isolate my arm. After setting literally every pain amplifier he could from here, he falls back onto my arm and I give him an early tap to avoid any more damage to my right arm. And with that, we conclude the second gym on our route to Seattle. Thank you to David for inviting me down, and Maximus for being such a great gym to visit. Make sure to check the description to enter the giveaway so you can win up to $100 in free Jiu-Jitsu streetwear. All you have to do is follow me and YJJS brand on Instagram, tag 2 friends in this post, and you're good to go. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to keep up with the trip, and I'll see you guys next time in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Jaws versus Daniel LaRusso in the finals with the crane kick. We found this at like an art and craft store.
Yeah.
Like a one of a kind. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting this. It was like a 1-for-1.